Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Built to Exit podcast with me, your humble host, Jason Cisneros. I happen to be not in studio today. I happen to be on the road. I am in Fort Lauderdale. I'm getting ready to go speak at an event for my new friend, Kevin Jennings, um, in the government contracting space. We're going to have a great time. We're going to light up the audience. But here in Fort Lauderdale, I'm at my friend's brand new home that he just built, and it's been interesting because, as you know, when you do a bunch of construction, there's lots of things that are going on. Do plugs work? Does Wi-Fi work? All that kind of stuff. So here we are, baby. We are live and ready to go. I wanted to jump in this morning. I want to welcome everybody, the brand new viewers. Welcome to the show. This is where we talk about all things business. We have one common phrase, which is everybody exits, how matters, and we talk about that. What are the things that you can focus on once you realize that somebody else is going to own your business? There's three types of exits. One is the involuntary exit. You go out of business. I did that 3 times. No shame in my game. I learned probably more during those failures than I did in any other phase of my life. Second phase, or the second type of exit, though, is a dictated exit. And that is where you're sitting across the table as a business owner who's good at plumbing or HVAC or painting or drywall or whatever it is, and you're sitting down across the street, or sorry, across the table from somebody who's a professional buyer of businesses. Puts you at a distinct disadvantage, and so we call that the dictated exit. I also had one of those. And all that means is that they are dictating the three things that you want to control, which is price, timing, and terms of your exit. Okay. And that's on the dictated side, they're the ones that are in control of that. My particular instance was I got paid probably half of what the business was worth, and it took a very long time to get there because they were controlling all of that. I didn't know. I knew my business really well, but I did not know this other side of it on the acquisition, the mergers, acquisitions. There's fancy words, fancy attorneys, fancy thought processes, all of this stuff that was swirling around me that I didn't know, and they took advantage of that. So what we're doing is we want to help blue collar companies, just like I've owned my entire life, like we still own, have white collar exits, and that means we have to educate ourselves to be a step above, to bring in new information, to understand that there's a whole other world when you get ready to transact. For most people, the largest transaction that they're ever going to have in their life, and to make sure that that's smooth, to make sure you get paid, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what this show is primarily about. Now, so we talk about custom tailored exits. That's what I did. Was I figured out after that dictated exit, I was like, I'm sitting across the table from somebody who really knows what they're doing. I want to learn what they're doing. I want to understand how they buy businesses. What are they looking at financially, et cetera. And so that's where I developed for myself the custom tailored exit. Now, since then, we've obviously built to exit, which is our business, built to exit.biz, if you want to go check it out. And that has been the focus. We've helped over 150 companies reach their level of exit, whether that's a sale, because there's also the exit of, I just want to go live my life, but I want my business to be able to run on its own. That's a form of exit. So that's what we talk about. We talk about all those things. We give you small 2 millimeter distinctions in your own life, in your own business, so that you can apply them. And we do this show every Saturday. Again, sometimes because I travel so much, we end up with Wi-Fi problems. Today, looks like everything is winning. We happen to be in my friend's kitchen, and it's a gorgeous house. He just finished a giant remodel on this place here in Fort Lauderdale. Next weekend, I will be doing this show from Atlanta, not our home base, our home studio in South Carolina. I'll be in Atlanta speaking at an event called The Forge. And you can check all the socials and find out if that's something that you want to come and attend. And then we head into Christmas. So let's get into this week's subject, though. And I want to talk to you a little bit. The idea behind what we're going to talk about today is your pricing model. And I'm going to give you some examples of where you go, well, Jason, I sell one thing. How can I possibly and all of us sell it for the same amount, right? This is the issue, right? It's elevating above your industry. It's elevating above your current circumstances. It's elevating above or getting a new perspective to think about things in your business in a way that will move you away from your competitors, that will elevate you in your business. And so I have this unbelievable blessing that I didn't realize was a blessing in my life, which is called cross pollination. And as I was buying businesses, as I was, working my way back, as I was doing turnarounds, what I started to realize was with all of the different industries, whether that's building or online businesses or solar or car washes, whatever it is, you can pull. There's usually kind of an industry group think. Everybody's thinking the same way. They're kind of doing the same stuff. And that's why the results are sort of common, right? You go to the same events, you go to your conventions, you go all that stuff. And so there's this like glass ceiling of thought process. Cross pollination allowed me to step outside because I was doing multiple companies, and I would be fixing a chiropractic office, and also at the same time I would be fixing a janitorial business. And I'm like, oh wait, I got this great idea. We're doing this over in janitorial. We could put this in chiropractic, right? Or I got this great idea from HVAC that we could apply to my car washes. It was an amazing opportunity for me to, when they say think outside the box, right? That fortune cookie thing that they're always talking about, to say, I'm thinking outside the box. It really is think outside of your industry, right? Look at best performers in other industries. We always talk about in the business that when we're doing turnarounds and we're prepping companies up to sell for their optimal level, we always say, let's get you back to your best performing time, and then let's start to up level, right? And the best way to up level is to take information from industries who have gotten, let's say there's 80 things that you got to get right in your business before you're going to get an optimal sale. And of the 80 things, what industry, what time frame, what person was able to take a concept and really hone it into something successful. Okay. And today is one of those cross pollination kind of moments where we're going to talk about menu engineering. This is where it started. And oddly enough, this is menu engineering for restaurants, where they get in and they understand the detail and the how much. And I want you to understand that menu engineering makes sense. It's like, well, that's what I sell. I got to make sure it's profitable. How much does lettuce cost? How much is the labor per hour? How much is the rent? How much is the electricity? How much is all this stuff? And then that whittles its way down to, this hamburger is $27 because that's what I need to sell. And then I need to sell 800 of those hamburgers for me to be able to keep the lights on. So menu engineering makes sense, but it's oddly it didn't come into fruition because there's been menus for millennia, right? There's thousands of years of menus, but it didn't come into fruition, into a thought process, into a science, until really like the 80s, where somebody was like, hey, wait a minute. We've got to put, if all of these things, they have to come down and add up into this. Before it was, what do we have available? What are we good at cooking? Right? It's the same thing with every other business. Nobody in that industry over thousands of years of owning restaurants had thought, hey, maybe what we should do is look at that menu. That's the thing that people are choosing from, and see if there's a way that we can increase our profit margins, increase our predictability, right? So this episode, and I'm gonna blaze through some stuff, so be ready to take notes. This episode is something that is in quadrant one, right? When we talk about the 4 quadrants that you need to build out for a successful exit, an optimized exit for you, there's this relationship to customer, your LTV, your RPE, all of these things, the acronyms, right? and all that relationship to customer means is that you are clear and you're going to eventually be able to hand to the buyer of your business a predictable revenue stream. Because again, remember, when people are buying businesses, they're buying certainty of ROI. We don't start businesses. They're first generation. We don't start businesses for the certainty of ROI. We start it because we think we're going to go into a place that 95% of people fail at, and we're going to feed our family, and we're going to be the next big thing, or whatever it is that you thought when you started your business. Now, professional business owners, which is all I want you to become, professional business buyers have a method, they have a strategy, and they typically, like if you're looking at a private equity firm, they have other people's money that they're responsible for to say, oh, I'm going to go buy Joe's Plumbing. And they go, the investors are like, be careful with my money. You don't want to lose it. That's how people end up in prison. And that's how, people's reputations get ruined. Be careful with my money. So these professional buyers of businesses go out and they start looking in these four quadrants. I'm going to look at Joe's Plumbing, and I'm going to look at Sam's Plumbing, and I'm going to look at Lisa's Plumbing, and I'm going to look at these businesses. I'm going to look in these four quadrants to see who's got the number one predictable revenue streams. Okay. And if Joe's is the one, then great. So you want to systematically start doing this along the way. When you get this right, you also, while you own the business, are making the most money possible out of the investment that you've made. It's switching to being an investor. You want to, as soon as you can, just start thinking of yourself as an investor, and that helps you with every single decision that you're going to make. Okay. So this box of relationship to customer, the second one, I'll just go through all four of them so that you know them. The second one is your clarity, running your books like a professional, clear, concise, not hiding anything, running them like somebody that will buy your business is going to want to see the books. It's called due diligence. They're going to rebuild them anyway. And if the buyer of your business is rebuilding them, it is your price of your business that you're going to get is going down. The terms are going to get worse. The time frame of which it's going to take to get your payment is going to be longer. So you want to address these four boxes. The third box is a management team. The business can survive and give those predictable revenue streams without you being there. The fourth one is kind of what we talk about all the time here, is having a precise exit plan, a pro forma adjusted EBITDA exit plan, which means that you can hand them over, here's all four boxes. You have 90 days to due diligence. And at that point in time, I've got four buyers behind you. So make up your mind. Pro forma adjusted EBITDA just means that you're paying attention to the market in front of you. Okay, so come back. We're in box number one today on today's subject, and we're talking about menu engineering, but we're going to call it pricing engineering because some of you own restaurants and some of you don't. Some of you own other things, and I want you to shift your mindset, and then I'm going to give you some strategies on how you can adjust this in your own business. Okay. So look, I would say that it's a healthy comment to say that most entrepreneurs, most business owners, they're insecure about their pricing because nobody told them how to build pricing that makes sense, right? They change it depending on the customer, the pressure of the moment, and then they wonder why it's wildly unpredictable. Remember, predictable. SOPs. Everything's got to be predictable for you to be able to exit your business, whether that's just your time or whether you want to sell it to somebody else. You think it's a marketing problem. You think it's a sales problem. But look, it's actually a menu engineering problem, and because of the way that you built or didn't build or accidentally came across your pricing because you never actually engineered it, right? A lot of you know me as, with my reputation, or my nickname in the marketplace is the architect. Engineering is the same exact thought. I engineer, I architect the exit before I ever buy a business. I architect it. I go, okay, cool. Let me go look at this janitorial company. Let me look at what are the problems, what are the issues, what are the opportunities, who's the ideal buyer, what's going on in the M&A space, what's the multiple that people are getting, and then I reverse engineer from where I am, where you are today, and your business, and you start there and you methodically build out, you engineer and then execute and build your way to that ideal conversation that you're going to have with your ideal buyer of your business. Okay. And so pricing, the pricing is the big wealth lever, right? It's the lever for enterprise value. Everything that you should be doing outside of your business doing what it does is building enterprise value. You do that with building your EBITDA, for instance, okay? And mastering your pricing is going to make you more money. It's going to add millions to the exit when you sell. And we don't need just more leads. What we actually need is pricing clarity. The silent killer of margin is bloated service lists, right? It's not that you're not offering enough or that you only have, it's that you're offering in sometimes too many things. It's complicated custom quotes. It's emotional pricing. It's costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars to not understand this concept, and millions when you sit down across the table from a qualified buyer. Okay. So what you want to do is what the buyer is looking for is predictable, high margin revenue. And if your pricing isn't structured, tiered, and repeatable, they're going to discount your business instantaneously. And you can see it happening. The value, the amount of money that's going to go in your pocket, you can just watch it, just like somebody's doing a walk around on your car when you take it to the dealership and you go, "Hey, I did my Kelley Blue Book and I've got $18,000 for this car." And they go, "Yeah, great. That's cool. Right? Let's talk about it." And they go, "Oh, what about the balding on the tires?" In your mind, they don't even have to say anything. They're like pointing out the weaknesses in your trade-in. Oh, this broken window. In your mind, you're like, okay, 18, now 17. Oh, bald tires, 17, now 16. They do not have to say a word. All they're doing is pointing out the obvious weaknesses that have to be addressed, have to be paid for, and have to be fixed for it to be a successful buy for them. So you're either going to do it and reap the rewards on your enterprise value, or they're going to do it and they're going to reduce the price, the value of your business. Fairly straightforward and simple. Okay. Every industry can have a clean and simple menu. Again, we've done so many verticals. I owned businesses in all kinds of industries. I still do. We're in cannabis and medical and AI and then we're working with tons of clients on the consulting side. Electrical contracting and roofing and just name it, right? Name it. Every industry can have a clean, optimized structure. What private equity firms are really, really good at is doing just this. So if you're good at it, then you'll be able to get them to come in. You'll be more attractive. You'll be able to sell for more. So let me give you an example. Car washes, right? 70% they push 70% of their, and I know this from firsthand because of owning several of them. We push 70% of our customers to the middle tier package because the menu is engineered for them to make that feel right. Okay. Dealerships, when you go in to buy a car, the profit isn't in the car itself. It's in their menu. What? Warranties, add-ons, protection, some sort of undercarriage spray. Like they know exactly what their menu is, so that they can distract people with the price of the car being lower and then add on all of these things. And at the end of the day, they still make their money. Okay. Coaches and consultants. Let's talk about you for a minute. You don't sell if you get into price engineering and you understand menu engineering for your own, you're not going to just sell hours anymore. I know a lot of coaches. I'm not a coach, but I know a lot of coaches, and I know that they get to a place. They all love what they do, but they get to a place where they're like, "Oh my God, I am literally on the phone from the time I wake up until the time I go to bed, and that's the only way that I make my money." Now, if you can add a digital course to that, if you can add masterminds, right? All of the things that you see that are out there, that starts to multiply your margin. I just want you to understand, we have an episode, if you want to go back and watch it, called Special Flower. It is so valuable once you understand that you are not a special flower. Your business is not unique. Your business is not special. It's the challenges that you're having are not rare, right? And it's not that you're just cursed because you weren't born with, with a silver spoon in your mouth. It's it's that you got to dig in and solve the problems that are causing the problems, right? You're not just organized. This is fixable. And when you see how simple and profitable this framework I'm about to show you is, you're going to wonder why you didn't do this 5 years ago. So the concept that we're talking about again is menu engineering. It's the science of designing your product or service lineup in a way that maximizes profit, maintains customer satisfaction, and improves predictable revenue, right? Those three things: maximize profit, maintaining customer satisfaction, and improving predictable revenue. That's optimizing your cash flow while you own it, and also optimizing for your sale. Okay. It's a tactic that restaurants, they mastered it now, and not all restaurants, but it is now more common in restaurants because of the people that brought this idea up. Okay. So what was the remarkable idea that they came up with? They came up with this matrix that changes everything. You start treating your offers the same way that the restaurants were treating their menus. Restaurants break down every single dish to the penny, every ounce of protein, every seasoning, every garnish, every prep minute, and every plate cost. I was just at a dinner, a men's Christian dinner, a business Christian men's group that I belong to, and we went. And one of the things that we do is we go to all of these different restaurants, and we went to this amazing place in Charleston, and it was very small. There was only seat for 16 people, and then the whole kitchen was right there. You're basically just eating dinner in the kitchen with the chef. And those of you that watch the movie The Bear or the show The Bear, one of the coolest things that I've always loved is when everybody's like, da, 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 and when the chef is in there and he's architecting everything and he's engineering all this stuff, and he gives orders and they go, "Yes, chef." So for us, it was awesome because every time he would tell us what that next dish that was coming out, he would go, 1, 2, 3, yes, chef. And we would all say it in unison. It was so cool. Great experience. I'll put in the links, the name of the restaurant. If you're ever in Charleston, definitely should go. So anyway, but the people that understand this, in the every ounce of protein, seasoning, understanding, his kitchen was meticulous. He knew where everything was. The people that were helping him, they knew where everything was. And I got to talk to him a little bit afterwards, and I asked him these questions. I knew that I was going to be doing this episode, and I asked him. I said, "Do you know?" He goes, "Oh." He goes, "Let me show you the list." And he goes, boom, and the pricing and the pricing and the pricing, and then how that filtered over into how much profit he was going to make per meal. He had a set menu, which made it a little easier for him as well. So that's why their margins stay predictable and why yours may feel random, right? Every small and mid-sized business can do the exact same thing. Every service package, every product, recurring contracts, add-ons, updates, warranties, support plans. Once you actually calculate the true cost and the true margin of what you sell, you're going to discover something surprising. Every offer in your business falls into one of the following categories, and this matrix is your real pricing strategy. It's a real pricing strategy. And there's variations of it in the marketplace. I did not come up with this. This is not my original idea, but I couldn't find anybody directly to give attribution to. I'm just going to say it's not my idea, but cross-pollination, I've been doing this for decades and it works. Okay, so the three categories, if you want to jot this down, and then I'll go into them a little deeper, is stars, sleepers, workhorses, and dogs. And again, there's variations on these four. I like these four. This is the opposite of what most small and mid-sized business owners do because they make pricing decisions emotionally, right? It's interesting. I learned a concept a long time ago. The first one that speaks after you've made your offer loses. And most people that are in that moment, right? You know, you've offered something to somebody and there's this awkward silence because they're like blah blah blah. And most amateur salespeople will jump in and try to rescue the clients. They'll be like, oh, well, if that's too much money, blah 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 blah, we can change it, right? I'm the owner, I can control all that stuff. So being a professional is know your menu so well that you know, boom, boom, boom. You've got 3 offers. You're going to lay it in front of somebody, and then you are going to shut your mouth. Okay, you're going to just shut your mouth. Here it is. The next person that speaks loses, right? And so we want to make sure that we're being a professional in that space. But most people are doing it emotionally, so they step in and they rescue, they lower their prices. Nobody makes a decision on price. Okay, I know that this is a controversial thing that I say, but your product and or service should be solving a pain so valuable and so predictably measurable that the price that they're going to pay is going to be tiny in reference to the value that they're going to get. I know that with our companies, with everything that we do, I understand. Could we charge more? Yeah, we could absolutely charge more, but I want the outsized results for my clients because guess what? They are my biggest fans. Like people that are watching, you're here, like you're telling people, they tell people this is what we did and these were the results. You can go to, you don't have to take my word for it. Go to LinkedIn and just go down and look at all of the people that we've helped, right? And that means that I have not spent a plug nickel on advertising, not a plug nickel, right? So it comes from knowing the right people, doing things like this, the pricing issue, and completely and totally being competent and giving outsized results in comparison to the cost, right? So what feels fair? You know, here's some of the things emotionally, right? What feels fair? What do competitors charge? What does the customer expect? Menu engineering is replaced with emotion, right? And you want to replace emotion with clarity and with engineering. So once you classify every offer into stars, sleepers, workhorses, and dogs, you're going to know what you can scale, what you should scale. You're going to know what to spotlight. You're going to know what to advertise. You're going to know what to put on social media. You're going to know what to ask your clients to say in a testimonial. You're going to know what to use as the lead-ins. What are your lost leaders that are going to help people get to know your product and or service better? You're going to know what to cut. This is most important. A lot of you have so many offers or everything is custom. You're going to know what to cut out and not do because it's not profitable, right? You're going to finally see where your real money is coming from. It stops becoming about pricing and starts becoming about engineering. It's the difference between unpredictable revenue and a business a buyer will pay a premium for. I'm going to keep hammering down on this. Why does it work? Owners, um, owners often, we throw everything that we offer onto a website. Blech. We puke it out there, or in a conversation, in a, you know, your elevator pitch is nothing but a vomit of what you do. And a brochure, it's all on a brochure, an estimate, a service price sheet with no structure, no psychology, no intention. I'm having a conversation just the other day about, and I'm kept driving home. What's the value that you add? Well, I love my offer and I love people and I love the thing that this will probably do for people and blah, blah, blah. And I kept driving home, not to be a jerk, not to be a jerk, but I want to drive home. You've got to understand that you got to be able to look somebody in the eye and say, this is the pain I'm solving for you. I'm solving it at a fair price, and it's going to be a multiple of return for you in the future. Very clear, very direct. Look, you can't take the heart out of a business owner. I can't tell you to stop caring. I can't tell you to stop loving. I can't tell you to stop being passionate. I can't tell you all those things. I just want there to be a version of you that can step outside of that and step into ice cold analytics and say, what is my offering? And to make sure, if you do love your product or service, if it really is doing great things out in the marketplace, then you should desperately want your product or service to be in the hands of the people who need you most. And that means taking responsibility for doing things like menu engineering. Okay, this is going to lead to Clients choosing low margin work if you don't get the psychology right. It's gonna, your high value offers are, they're gonna be buried in the wrong place. There's gonna be, this is the biggest thing, confusion about pricing and offer, right? Emotional, inconsistent quoting, zero predictable growth. So if you want predictable profit, a cleaner path to exit, and customers choosing your highest value offers without hesitation, you need to understand the mechanics, right? The mechanics behind your business at its deepest level. So before you start, before you can price anything, you need to understand what it costs you in time, in labor, in margin, in opportunity. There's lots of ways to do this. It's one of the very first things that we ever do when we bring on a client that we're helping to prep for exit. We got to get these things out. You got you because most owners, they just got in and they're like, well, what are my competitors charging? I'm going to do it across the board. We see this all the time. We're in retail, right, on the cannabis space, and everybody offers the same thing, right? So how do you stand out? How do you stand up above? You engineer, you architect. We're going to be doing a walkthrough of one of our locations, and I'm going to tell you some of the things that I did and that we did in that instance to make it stand out amongst everybody else that has the same offer, that has the same products. So what feels fair, that's also a bad way to look at things. What they think the customers can afford, oh, a huge big mistake, right, is you projecting, right? Let's say that you're broke or you're struggling or you have a challenge or you've never really experienced having a ton of excess capital. You projecting onto the customer what you think they can afford is costing you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Do not make the decision for the customer of what they can and are willing to pay. Let your sales presentation, let your pricing do that. Get yeses or nos and let that indicate what your pricing should be. Okay. And that leads to guesswork again instead of strategy. And here's what financial clarity actually means. Okay. Break down every dollar, every offer to the dollar. Identify hidden costs that quietly are destroying your margin. Going back to a job site 13 times, sending a team out to the job site, having them go back and forth to Home Depot 16 times, right? You got to understand that those things are costing you money. Anytime you're not performing the core deal in this set amount of time, anytime you're outside of that, that's how your margins are getting quietly destroyed and you're leaking money out the tail, okay? You're going to see which offers are profitable and which ones aren't. You're going to understand which services scale cleanly, right? And then the other ones that you maybe are pushing on because you need the cash that are going to break your team's back, right? Which ones can you scale and which ones are going to break your team? So this financial X-ray vision is kind of the way I want to think about it. It's what turns pricing from emotional into a mathematical equation, right? Without this, the matrix does not work, and neither does your pricing. So let's jump into the 4 stars. Stars are your high profit and high demand combined, right? These are your wealth creators. These are your offers that your business should be built around. For example, HVAC, full system installs, furnace plus AC, okay? High margin, high demand, easy to predict at scale. And if you and so in that space, just whatever business you happen to have, you got to know what your stars are, and if you and you got to know what business you're actually in. Okay, so that's your stars. Your sleepers are high profit, low demand, right? Those are your kind of your hidden gold mines. These are the things that you created because you were listening to the marketplace, but the marketplace doesn't really know about it, right? These are not selling, not because they're bad, but because they're buried. They're poorly positioned. They're not explained well. They're not marketed well. It just, oh, every once in a while when we solve this particular problem, we do this thing and it's lots of money, right? But low demand. Think about elevating that back, right? Elevating that back up. So some of the highest margin items, let's use HVAC again, right? They're ignored because owners don't spotlight them, right? Your air quality add-ons, your whole service. I'm standing in my buddy's brand new deal, and I'm thinking about all these things that he went through in here on his HVAC. But you've got whole home UV purification, upgraded HEPA filtration, humidity control. Like all of these are severely high level profit deals, but are they consistently offered to your client? Are they easy to buy? That's really the question, okay? And then you've got your workhorses, low profit, high demand, right? And these are gateway offers. These are the things that you put out that bring people in and they get a chance to taste the menu. It's like, when you go into a gelato shop and they're like, oh, do you want a taste of this chocolatey deliciousness, right? And then you're like, oh, give me 3 scoops of that. These are your teaser offers. These are your low profit, high demand offers. They're easy to sell, but the margins are thin. And they should lead predictably to your stars, to your high. They should bring in, and if you're not doing that and you just have them, that's going to break you, right? These are the things that break your team. Oh, we're doing a bunch of low profit, high demand stuff, but it's not leading to anything. Your workhorses are the ones that you do. It feels like work, it is work, and then that's got to lead you to that higher ticket offer, right? If not, maybe think about this week engineering some of that stuff. When it's designed well, workhorses become your cheapest customer acquisition engine, okay? Number 4, dogs, right? Dogs, those dirty dogs. Number 4 is dogs. Low profit, low demand. And these are the silent killers. Like I see this all the time. It's like we have this product, and it's what our company is known for, and we keep it because we were doing this 20 years ago, and we're going to keep doing it. Like just keep going with HVAC, right? An HVAC example is like one-off micro repairs. Like we're going to come out and micro repair. We're going to do these micro repair. We're going to go to every sales call. We're going to do all these things. We're going to go without crafting that, engineering it, having a better conversation. And because those micro repairs, they're tiny little fixes that may take hours of time and several trips to the store because I didn't know I needed this piece. Oh, that's the thing. We got to order in. I got to go back 2 or 3 times, right? They also tend to, these dogs, they tend to create customer complaints, right? And it doesn't make you any money. So they drain your time, they destroy your schedule, they confuse your team, they wreck margins, they wreck morale, they mess with your culture of your business. So they need to either be redesigned, and listen to me here, or eliminated completely, right? Redesigned, like micro repairs, you put somebody in HVAC, you put them on a monthly maintenance plan, right? So some months they'll need you, some months they won't, but you have a predictable cash flow of money that's coming in that will make that particular offer of going out and making small repairs or changing out filters or whatever it is, it now turns that into a profitable offer, and by the way, raises your enterprise value because buyers of your business love predictable revenue. Okay. So let's get into a couple of caveats. You get to choose exactly how and why, what they buy. Menu engineering is behavioral economics. Okay, think of it that way. It's behavioral economics. You decide how your customer chooses. And there's unbelievable research on decision making that you can dig into and find on your own. But this is a place for you to dig when when you get done with this show. Go look at these things. Go look at some of the research. Go look at some of the research that's been done and the white papers that have been written. It's fascinating. It's almost as fascinating as when I decided to go down the rabbit hole of gamification. Okay, psychological levers that you can use are anchor pricing. Here's some things for you to research. Anchor pricing. You show the basic so that the middle looks better. That's what anchor pricing is. The next one that you can do is bundles. Okay, you combine high and low cost so that you give the customer a higher perceived value. Tiered offers: good, better, best. Right? It reduces overwhelm. 3 price model always converts better. right? I heard it again. One of the things that I heard in my travels was it's 1, 2, 3, many. Okay. If you have 72 offers, you make it difficult. People would rather not make a choice at all than to make the wrong one. Make it easy for people to decide. A couple of examples. Salons use a basic cut, a cut plus wash. I know a lot about this, obviously, and a premium treatment, right? In their job or in their business model, they're focused on, we're not going to do the lowest cost thing, which is just a cut. We're going to sell a few of the premium treatments, but our business is going to be methodical and predictable based on that middle with the wash and the style. Okay. It's not manipulation, right? I just don't even email me or DM me. I don't read your negative shit anyway, but, but it's not manipulation. It's removing friction and guiding your customer to the choice that creates the best outcome for them and ultimately for your margins. You're not going to make a margin unless you've already fallen in love with the outcome of your ideal customer avatar, right? You've got to be in love with it. You got to be focused on that. Forget about your offer until you know so deeply this conversation that I was having every other day, and I'll have next week because I have it all the time. People fall in love with their own offers. They fall in love with their own baby. They fall in love with their own business. Your business only exists because you have fallen deeply in love with the outcome of somebody who needs your business, your product, your service. Okay? So it's removing friction. I'm going to read that sentence one more time. It's removing friction and guiding customers to the choice that creates the best outcome for them. I'll period that one. It just so happens to be that behavior also drives up your margins. So you get to have a pricing system that scales without you. The real enemy of pricing is inconsistency, just blowing around like a leaf in the wind. Okay. Most small and mid-sized business pricing breaks down because quotes depend on how busy the business is, how the owners discount emotionally or the sales team discount emotionally, team members just wildly guessing, right? Wildly guessing. Every job is a custom job. A scalable pricing system must remove emotion. It needs to eliminate the seat of the pants, what we call rectal pulls in our organization. Quoting. You need to give the team guardrails. You can go here or here, but not above and not below, right? You need to make pricing predictable and repeatable. And you need to allow for strategic price increases without losing trust, right? Most people understand, with inflation, most people do that. But if you all of a sudden go from 10,000 to 100,000, you might lose the trust. People might look at you, kind of side eye. Do those things incrementally if you need to. Again, I've seen so many of these things. I have 100 examples in my head. I'm gonna not go down that path today, but if you need our help, obviously you can reach out to builttoexit.biz or jasoncisneros.com. Easiest way to get a hold of us. So this is where your future exit, right? That enterprise value for your business is won or lost when pricing isn't clean, clear, and repeatable. When it is clean, clear, and repeatable, customers trust you, employees follow the system, buyers of your business in the future will see stability, predictability. Unpredictability completely disappears when you get this pricing model down combined with a couple of other things. Okay. So you're not raising prices, you're raising the intelligence of your pricing. I'm going to say that again. You're not raising your pricing, you're raising the intelligence of your pricing. Okay. So menu engineering forces you to confront what you should not sell. Most small business owners think growth comes from adding more offers, more packages, more services. But the truth is, most businesses are struggling because they're selling too much. Just think about all of the things that you offer, how many times you change your thing. You're just selling too much, not too little. Menu engineering exposes the offers that are quietly destroying your margin, your time, and your team. When you finally classify your offers into those 4 quadrants that we talked about today, the blind spots, they become obvious. They just pop out and you're like, oh, we shouldn't be doing that anymore. Oh, we should be doing more of that. Oh, here's this other idea that Jason talked about on the podcast. Let's try to put that home. So if your pricing feels frustrating, it's because you don't understand the cost. You don't understand the demand. You don't understand the value of what you sell because you've been falling in love with your own product and or service instead of sitting in the seat of somebody who's going to purchase your product. You haven't fallen deeply in love with their outcome. You don't know the pain that you're solving for them and what they're willing to pay to be able to solve that pain with whatever it is that you offer. Okay? So break it down. Break it down. Break it down for me, right? Break down your costs. Put every offer through this 4-box matrix, and what you see, what's dragging you down, what's carrying you, your pricing becomes confident, your profits become predictable, and buyers finally see the business that they want to pay a premium for. When you get these things right, you end up with a business that people will pay a premium for. Okay, so that's it. Execute with passion, with energy. I'm going to go and spend 2 days with Kevin Jennings, a really a new friend, but very quickly a brother in my life. And we're going to be talking about this stuff from stage. We're going to be helping real business owners as we always do. And again, I'll be in Atlanta. Would love to see a bunch of you. I think we got about 300 people coming to that event in Atlanta called The Forge. And it's faith, family, fitness, finance for people who love the Lord. So anyway, I hope you have an amazing week. Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much me and my team at Built to Exit, how much we appreciate your time and your trust that you give us every week. The amount of times that this show is being shared, who it's being shared with, that really, truly, specifically, I don't think anything's an accident anymore. We don't go for numbers. We go for our target audience. We know exactly who we're helping because that person that we're helping was a younger me that had no help, had none of this information, had none of these thought processes. They didn't graduate from high school, didn't have any really great leaders. And I crashed 3 businesses because I didn't know that I needed to surround myself with excellence. I needed to reflood my brain with great ideas. I needed to eliminate broke, lack, scarcity thinking out of my mind. I didn't know all of that, right? I didn't realize how powerful and the freedom and the free air that we breathe is due in large part to soldiers who stood up that we'll never know, that shed their blood, and business owners and merchants throughout history who has kept finance diversified so we don't have to beg from beg from the government or work for giant corporations for us to make ends meet. We get to be unique. We get to attempt. We get to overcome our demons. We get to become better. We get to learn stuff. We get to hang out together. We get to know each other. We get to do business with each other. I love what we do. And I love you for being a part of it. And that is it for this week. I'm Jason Cisneros. For all of us at Built to Exit, thank you so much for your time and your trust. And we'll see you next Saturday, which will be from Atlanta. We're in Fort Lauderdale today. We'll be in Atlanta. We'll see you next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time live, or you could go to YouTube or any of the other places to find the show if you missed the live production. Okay? Thank you very much. Love you all. Have an amazing week.